Hello, this is Sarah Sinclair. Today we're going to be talking about thesis statements as they relate to essays in English 1010, writing 1. We're going to talk about definition and the analysis of thesis statements. Essentially, this is a way to test a draft thesis for an essay. It's about your third or fourth step in your writing process, depending on what steps you take personally. Remember, one of my biggest goals for this class is that you have a system for writing an argumentative essay that you can take to any course in the future and use that step-by-step process that you're really familiar with. So this is somewhere in the beginning of that process, probably step 3 or 4. A lot of the notes from this presentation come from the UNC Writing Center at Chapel Hill. It's a great resource for all things writing. I encourage you to check it out. The other one that's really helpful is the OWL at Purdue. So we'll jump right in here. So a thesis statement is a lot of different things, and you've likely learned about them in the past. So these are specific to our course and to helping you develop that personal writing process. So a thesis statement is interpretation of subject matter. No matter what you're writing about, if you're writing an argumentative essay, you need to interpret that subject matter for yourself, and that shows up first and foremost in your thesis statement. It also provides your essay with purpose. It gives you something to circle back to with every smaller argument that you make and lining it up with the larger argument and the purpose of your essay. A thesis statement is not the subject itself. It's not simply, I'm going to write about basketball. That's not a thesis statement. It has to have that interpretation of the subject matter, your opinion, and an argument. A thesis statement should offer a way to relate to an experience or a story. It gives your audience something to think about as they read your paper. Generally, a thesis statement is a single sentence. We often break these rules. We're starting at the beginning. This is writing 1, so we're going to try to adhere as closely as we can to having a single sentence for our thesis, particularly when it's in draft form. It might need to expand to more than one sentence as we complicate it and move on with our writing. And again, because this is beginning writing 1, it will include an essay map, and we'll talk more about what that exactly means and what it looks like. So this is kind of a cheater way of putting together a draft thesis statement. So if you'll notice, there are 3 building blocks that I've put together here for you. We have an example of an argumentative essay that goes along with these building blocks. So the first thing that you need to come up with is the topic, what you will discuss in the paper. That is the sentence subject, and it is your topic. So in this case, in this example, it's good land use planning is our topic. This could be for a conservation class in the ag department or a conservation class in the science department, but you're going to write about good land use planning. That's your topic. Then you want to add a position, a stance, what you will say about your topic. So I want to say something really positive about this topic. I'm going to say that good land use planning will improve the quality of our lives, right? So that's my opinion. It's going to make things better for us. And then the last building block is actually 3 things, and this is what I called in the last slide an essay map. So 3 mapped points, and these are supporting ideas for the paper. So my 3 supporting ideas for this particular thesis statement is a vision of a different way to use the train, the willingness to change, and a passion about the land. So those are my 3 mapped points. When we combined all of that together, we get a draft thesis statement. So if you're struggling, sometimes it helps to just draw 3 boxes that look like this on a piece of paper, fill in your topic, your opinion about your topic, which is a verb, right? And then those supporting points, what you will say about your opinion. There's a simple way to start testing a draft thesis statement to see if it will work. And you can ask yourself these questions about your assignment. Does the thesis answer the question? So the question comes from your assignment or from your instructor or from your own head if you're writing an essay for your own purposes. Are you on topic? Are you doing what you're supposed to be doing based on your assignment for class or your own purpose that you've determined? Can the interpretation be opposed? So can someone make a different argument? Because it has to include an opinion, somebody could make a different claim about your topic than you're making in your thesis. This keeps the thesis from being a fact. You can't say a thesis statement that says it's raining outside. There's no opinion there. It can't be opposed. The so what test. So your thesis should intrigue your audience and give them an idea about why they should care about your topic and about your particular opinion related to that topic. I sometimes say you got to make your audience care. And you also have to make sure that the audience isn't left asking how or why. So that those 3 mapped points should answer the questions how or why. Sometimes they do both. And finally, does the essay support the thesis without wandering around? So this comes at the end. This won't test your draft thesis, but you want to double check your thesis when you finish writing your essay. Often you'll get to the end of your essay and you'll say, yeah, this is wandering over here and wandering over there. Sometimes the simplest thing to do is change your thesis rather than change your whole paper to match an old thesis. So we're going to look at some examples. Here's the first one. Mark Twain's Huckleberry Finn is a great American novel. This is a weak thesis statement. Let's think about what makes it weak. It's way too general. Great American novel. What does that mean? What is great? What are the hallmarks of great anything? It's summarizing versus interpreting. We don't really have an interpretation. You might be able to argue that great is an interpretation, but without having more information about what we mean by great, it's not helpful. And it does not answer how or why it is a good or great novel. So we'll take another whack at it. In Huckleberry Finn, Mark Twain develops a contrast between life on the river and life on the shore. This still isn't a great thesis statement. Let's look at why. So what? Why do we care about the contrast between life on the river and life on the shore? Why does it matter? Why is that contrast so important? Why should we care about it? That's the biggest thing that's missing from that. Attempt 3. Through its contrasting river and shore scenes, Twain's Huckleberry Finn suggests that to find the true expression of American democratic ideals, one must leave civilized society and go back to nature. So here we go. We have the subject, Huckleberry Finn, the book by Mark Twain. We have an opinion about it. It's making a suggestion. My interpretation of this novel is that it tells us that to find the American democratic ideals, you got to get away from the city and be out in nature. That's my interpretation of what this book does. And then I tell you how it does it by using contrasting river and shore scenes. That contrast makes this interpretation possible.